I like this little microphone. Also, shout out to Grillos for making new lids. I'm hype about that. Hello, my people, and welcome back to the table. Today we're not doing a tablescape. I thought we would mix it up, do something different, do a little bit more of what I do in my kitchen in a daily basis. Our kitchen also got a little bit of a change up. We were so lovingly gifted another kitchen island. So now we have, you can't see it, but it just keeps going. And I have a whole nother kitchen island over here. So we have lots of extra space to get some stuff going. But we did, in turn, sacrifice the table for that. The kitchen island still works as a table. It is table height. But for now, I want to use it functionally as an island. But that kind of frees us up to do some other stuff. So it's Tuesday right now, and something about the beginning of the week is there's a lot that I think, as someone who loves to cook, that you kind of need to go through your fridge and learn how to, one, not waste stuff, and to prep stuff for the week so that way you can make better meals. If you give yourself like 30 minutes of time in the beginning of the week to get ready for the rest of the week, you're just so much better off. So I'm going to show you how I do a fridge clean out and some things that I prep for the week today. So let's get into it. All right. Before I show you this fridge, just know yours could look like this too, okay? We have a lot of stuff. I jam her in here, okay? She works. She's good. She's just full right now, which is good. There's a lot of leftovers, a lot of things that are kind of like on the verge of bad that need to be used up, or things that I just kind of want to like prep for the week. So let me show you some of our options, okay? Some of the things we got going on. We have a open bag of cranberries that is on the, you didn't see that, that is getting on the verge of bad. Same thing here. We have kind of like past their prime strawberries that need to get out. Some leftovers that are good. Some other things we're going to do is prep some eggs. I make a lot of different things like this during the week. A lot of the other stuff in here is just leftovers. I have like half a red onion that I have no other use for that I'm going to show you. We're going to mix that up. I also have some white onion. And I think that's it out of the fridge right now. There's always a lot of other things that I have going on with leftovers that I try to use up. I'll save that for a different video, but let me show you what we're going to do with some of these goods from this bad boy. So something you may have noticed so far is we are working with a mic, which I did not turn on in this clip, so here we are. I am just going to give you the little rundown of what we wanted to do. So because I had strawberries and cranberries, I wanted to do jam. See, she said jam. Like I said, some of the other things we're going to prep are some overnight oats. We're going to do some soy marinated eggs. And we're going to do some beans. We're going to mix it up. I'm going to show you all the different things that I make for the week. And we'll start with the jam. And from here on out, my mic will be working, I promise. Now for this jam, I am going to make it a little bit more wintry, sort of like a combo between how I make my cranberry sauce and how I'm going to make this jam. So that way it'll have a lot of uses. One of the other things that we're going to prep for the week is some overnight oats, mainly because I feel like I've been on like an egg kick and I'm just over her. Okay? I'm over eggs for breakfast. I've been making a lot of like breakfast sandwiches. No. She's had her moment. She is done. So now we're going to do something sweet. And this jam will be good to put on top. We're just going to make sort of like generic overnight oats. And then that way I won't get tired of one singular flavor, because I get tired of food so quickly. Like leftovers, I can have them for like a day or two and then they're done. That's the end of them. So while we prep this, I'm going to put a couple eggs on the stove in some boiling water. I'm trying to get some soft boiled eggs-ish. So I'll get those prepping while I finish up the jam. So there's 610 grams of fruit in here. And I always do like a 1-to-3 ratio of fruit to sugar. So just take whatever the weight of your fruit is and divide it by 3. So since 609 is the easiest thing in my brain to divide by thirds, so that means we need 203 grams of sugar. So I'm just going to zero this out now. And then we're going to add 203 grams of sugar. $204 will be fine. That'll do. Alrighty. And then I just so happen to have like half of a lemon in my fridge. So we are going to juice her up, get that in there. And honestly, no matter what fruit I am doing, I always put a little splash of lemon. But since we want this to be a little bit more Christmassy, we are also going to be adding an orange. So I'm just gonna hand juice this, because I am just going to throw the whole shebang in here, then let the flavor infuse. We're just gonna pop this on the stove now, and I'm gonna add a cinnamon stick to it also.
Can we just have a moment for how good this looks? It looked this good in real life and on camera, and it smelled amazing.
Alright, so now our stuff's on the stove. You may hear popping. Do not fret. It is your cranberries getting all good and mushy. Our eggs are almost done. I've got them on for like another 3-4 minutes. I'm just going to keep my eye on this, make sure it's stirred. We're just going to let that melt down nice and low and slow, let all those flavors infuse. Now we'll start prepping some of our other things. So some other things I want to prep are my overnight oats, and I want to do some pickled onions also. These I want to use on some of the meals for the week, and the longer they sit, like at least 2 or 3 days, the better. And the overnight oats, I'm just going to make, I think, 1 big jar and then distribute from there. I honestly don't really care. And you shouldn't either. Like, if you want to make a big bowl of it and then put it in your fridge, I think maybe making some one big jar then allows me to decide, because every day, like, the amount of food I want to eat is so different. So by doing this, then I can just sort of decide what's best for me in that moment. I think that's what we're going to do. These are the jars I have, so this is what we're going to use. So we're going to do 2 of these. And I'm just going to make them in the jar, and then I have some smaller jars that I'll do the onions in because we don't need a ton, and having a smaller bit and that way you go through it is always better. Alrighty, in the jar I'm doing quick oats because that's what we got in the house. I prefer the old-fashioned ones, but use what you got. That's the best advice. Eggs are done. For me, with my eggs, I'm just going to put ice directly on the pot and let them chill in there. And then when we're ready to, whatchamacallit, then when we're ready to peel them, they're here chilling. So for these overnight oats, I'm just going to eyeball how much I want in here. I'm going to fill these up most of the way because the oats are going to expand, but we're not adding the toppings and stuff in here. So this is really just the space for us to make the base. That looks good. We got to think volume ratios here because the one is thicker and the other one is thinner. You know what I'm saying? All right. For health, I'm going to put some hemp seeds in here. I'm sure y'all would be like, put some chia seeds. I don't have those in my house. I also feel like sometimes they can add a bit of a slimy texture to things. So I would maybe, like, if I wanted the benefit, put that on top, you know, with like some, just to add something, add the health benefit. But I find that the hemp hearts have the health benefits without all of the mushy. You know what I'm saying? Our jam is at the like soupy stage, but it smells incredible. It really does. Aaron concurs. It smells mostly like strawberry. I think that's what's really getting it going. All right. So for these oats, I'm just going to add in oat milk, you know, taking the milk back to its motherland. And we're just going to like lightly sweeten and flavor these because also if I plan on adding that jam to them, think about how much sugar that's going to add. We don't want it to be like overwhelmingly sweet. So just lightly sweeten them and then add a little bit of flavor with some vanilla. And then I'm going to, it's already off. I'm going to add a pinch of salt as well just for that extra oomph. You know? I'm going to do a couple tablespoons of maple syrup in each of these. Like I said, just to lightly sweeten them. This is my house. I can do that. And then I'm just going to add a little vanilla bean paste. Just for some light fleck and flavor. A little salt. Just a pinch. Keep things balanced. And then I'm just going to shake them. Get them mixed up real well. And these are done for the week. Easy.
One thing about me is I'm terrible at peeling these eggs. If anyone has tips, let me know, but I can make a soft-boiled egg. So I'm sacrificing this one, but it is so worth it, my friends.
We had to put that apron on because she's getting a little sputtery over here. I'm kind of at the point where I think I'm going to take the oranges out just because they're taking up a lot of space, and we've kind of got that like flavor infused at this point. I'm just putting them in my sink because I'll put them down the garbage disposal. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that, but I do. So at this point, we're just trying to get a lot of the water out. This is definitely a more watery jam. So I'm definitely just trying to get her thick. That's how we like them. And I want it smooth, so eventually I'm going to run this through the immersion blender, but it still needs some time to cook down. We have our horribly peeled soft-boiled eggs here that we are going to turn into, I don't know what they're called, but we're going to like marinate them in soy sauce. They're so good. Now we are going to make the pickle brine for our red onions. I'm going to throw in some white onion because it's so good, and they'll all taste the same. But I'm going to show you just like the super simplest basic pickle brine, so that way you can toss these in your fridge whenever you have some time or whenever you're craving them. Like I said, we're just going to keep it super simple. So I'm just going to do about a cup of white vinegar. We're just going to put this on medium because we just kind of wanted to get to the point. You know what, I'm probably doing like 2 cups. I don't like to add water to mine. I like my pickle brine really strong. So we're just going to do our vinegar. We're going to add some hefty glugs of salt. And then probably about a tablespoon of sugar. I don't like mine to be super sweet. I like to keep mine more on the salty side. So we'll just add, probably did about 2 tablespoons of salt, a tablespoon of sugar, and a cup and a half of vinegar. And we're just going to mix that up till it all dissolves. And while we wait for this all to dissolve, we will chop up our onions and add some garlic to the jars. This is pretty cooked down. It's on low, so you see her? Look at how hot this is. You see all that steam coming out of there? She is nice and cooked down and thickened up. She is steaming, baby. She's pretty much done. We're just going to let it cool off, hang out back there while that heats up. Let's prep our onions. And like I said, we're just going to really jam them in there. I'm really only going to use the white onion if the red doesn't fit, or I guess doesn't fill it up to the level I want. But I like mine nice and thin. I don't even break up these middle parts. I just put them in like that so that way they can sort of fall apart in the jar and be all different sizes. And I like to really shove them in there because once they pickle, they get all loosey-goosey, and then they don't really fit anymore. So we really want to like jam as many in there as possible because the liquid will kind of get in between them as needed. You know, I have this garlic keeper. Do I know truly what benefit it has? No. But I bought it in Vermont, and I think it's very aesthetically pleasing. So get yourself one. I'm just gonna smash some garlic. I'm actually gonna chop it in half, mainly because like I want it smashed, but I really want it to take up some good surface area in here. Add some more good old flavor. You know, I don't even think we're gonna fit this whole red onion. We're gonna fit as much as we possibly can to the roof. But if we can't fit it all, that's okay. I'm making salsa this week. It can go in there. It has a million uses. One more. Okay, that's enough. Let's check on our pickle brine.
This is what you're looking for. All dissolved. Looks like there's water in here, but it's not water. It's our pickling mixture.
Let's finish up these last two things, and then we will move on to the last thing we have to prep, which is beans. So these eggs, I just kind of got into doing these. When we have Asian food during the week, I now just sort of prep these as like something to go along with them, a little side dish, a little something along those lines. So we're going to start, and I'm going to switch up how I've done them in the past. Try something a little different this time, because last time I made them, I felt like they came out like a little too sweet, and I'd rather them be spicy. So let's see if we can achieve that. This is all stuff that I just kind of keep in my pantry pretty regularly. So we're going to start with a bunch of soy sauce. Probably about a quarter to a third of a cup. Then I'm going to do some sesame oil. A little rice wine vinegar. And then I'm going to put, I know a lot of people do like grated cloves of garlic. I'm not feeling that in this house today. So we're just going to do some minced garlic. Then to add the spice, I'm going to go in with some of my Fly by Jing chili crisp. I love Fly by Jing, and I think the little crunchies in this too will be nice. After I use the marinade for the eggs, if I have other eggs, I will just put those in there too. Or it would be good to like add cucumbers into this too. Just something to think about. And then I'm going to add a little salt. Not a ton, because it already is pretty salty. And then I'm going to add just like the tiniest pinch of sugar, because last time I added honey and then it came out way too sweet. I still think you need a little bit of something sweet to balance it out, but my palate also leans pretty dang savory, so I think this will be good. I'm just going to fill it to the top with water to cover the eggs, and then this can go in the fridge. Before I do that, I'm also going to add in a little bit of green onion as well. I just keep green onions on, I just keep green onions on the counter. I always chop them with scissors. That's just how I live my life, okay? Now, I am going to close this up. Give the egg the little spinny spin. Now we're good to go in the fridge. At least 24 hours. Give it at least 24 hours. We'll see when we end up munching on these this week. The last time we waited like 3 days, and that was elite. That like really had time to soak in. So we'll see. We'll see. Alright, the last thing we have is our jam has kind of cooled off a bit, and we really need to, I want it nice and smooth. I don't want it to have that like thick texture. So I'm actually going to run it through the blender really quick. Do I have an immersion blender? No. Do I have a food processor? Yes. It is just an attachment for my blender though, so why would I switch it out? They work equally the same. I'm just taking out the cinnamon stick we had in there. And then we are going to put all this bad boy into the blender. And I know y'all were thinking when we added that much fruit in the beginning that was going to be way too much jam. No. Strawberries have so much water in them, they cook out like insane. So this is perfect. We'll probably get like one small jar and it'll be perfect for our overnight oats for the week. The last thing I'll say before we put this on the blender, on the bottom, on the whatever you call it, this. If you put hot things, not even hot, even like slightly warm, leave this open. Make sure it's not the slightest bit clicked. Just leave it there so we're not spewing stuff, but it can vent, because if you don't, that's how you blow up your blender and end up with stuff on the ceiling, okay? So let's blend this real quick. That is like, it's such a unique flavor. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I know why we're not doing cranberry, strawberry things all the time, because they're not cohabitantly in season. Is that a way to describe that? I don't know. But, like, the fact that it's, like, tart and sweet and, like, has a little bit of, like, savoriness from the cinnamon. That's insane. Alright, so the last thing that we're going to be prepping for this week actually comes from this cookbook. I have really recently, I have a pretty large cookbook collection. I think cookbooks are like meant really to inspire, and like I take recipes from these that are like tried and true, but also cookbooks are a lot of what has taught me how to cook and how I like to cook. So I love Mexican food. This is My Mexico City Kitchen by Gabriela Camara, and I just want to try more vegetarian, traditional Latin American cooking, the only way to try is to start with like basic recipes, like beans. So we're gonna do that, and I'll show you the recipe and how we're gonna see how it goes.
If you want the exact recipe, you can go ahead and screenshot that last clip, but this is basically how you start. They want 2 cups of dried beans with a good couple of inches of water over top, like that. And then you're just gonna bring them to a boil. You're gonna add a couple cloves of garlic. It says one. I had 3 small ones, so I did that. And then you can add avocado leaf, marjoram, or I had oregano on hand, so that's what I ended up using. And I did a tablespoon of dried oregano, like it said. And I actually measured this one out because it's my first time doing this recipe, so that way I can really get a feel for what I'm actually supposed to be doing here. And then you just cover it. Once that comes to a boil, it said to keep it on a low simmer for 30 minutes and then stir it. So this is after the 30 minutes. I made sure to stir it up, but like it wasn't ready at all. So we recovered her. After about another 10 minutes, I tried one and it was soft, but it wasn't quite there yet.
At this point, these have been going for like, let's say like like an hour. When I bite into them now, they're pretty soft. So I'm just gonna let them cool off. We're gonna put them in a container, and that's it. I'm gonna be brave and do this at the counter, okay? So you better appreciate this. I think I'm gonna start like this and see where we go from there, because I don't even think this is all gonna fit in one.
It did not end up fitting in one, as you can see, but we made it work. And two is always, it was like 1.5.
And there you have it. That's everything for the week. 2 things of, maybe like 1.5 things of beans. One of these I'm going to turn into refried beans. I'll post that on TikTok. We have 2 small jars of jam, pickled onions, 2 things of overnight oats, and our eggs. And this is not everything that we need for the week, but it's just to show you guys that you can use what you have, how to prep some things for the week. And a lot of this stuff is also stuff that I do if I'm prepping a big meal, like to prepare things ahead of time, spending 20, 30, 40 minutes ahead of time while you're doing other stuff in your life to make your life easier down the line is always such a helpful thing, where you look back and you're like, thank you, previous me, for helping out future me. And all of this will go to a good home, my home. So, thank y'all so much for watching, coming to the table this week, and we'll see you next week for something different. See ya.